Simon & Schuster Audio presents The Dog Park Detectives, Bone of Contention by Blake Mara. Read by Patricia Rodriguez, Rose Akroyd, Richard Attlee, and Joe Eyre.
Prologue. Johnny. Jonathan Tang looked out his window and winced. They were down there again, a pack of young men milling about outside the new chicken shop. What was it about chicken shops that seemed to attract yobs? This group didn't look like they were drinking, but the Bells was just across the street, and the men that hung out in there did. At closing time, it would kick off. Again. Two groups of idiots, one powered by booze, the other by skunk and nitrous oxide. Different ethnicities, but both fueled by racism and xenophobia. He knew from the words both groups had flung at him. It was his own fault. His parents had suggested he buy a flat in Canary Wharf itself to be closer to work. Travelling alone late at night could be dangerous, they'd said. He hadn't realised at the time how right they were. Instead, lured by magnificent views and the understanding that money was being poured into the area for regeneration, he convinced himself that this place was a good investment. The flat was bright and spacious. The balcony might overlook a main street, but it was large, perfect for hosting cocktails on a summer evening. The estate agent had convinced him that it'd be like New York City's meatpacking district, which had gone from a centre of drugs and prostitution to a trendy des res with boutiques, restaurants and nightclubs. That balcony now boasted a lovely wicker set that he'd bought from John Louise, and plants his mother had chosen, herbs that she'd claimed even he couldn't kill. She'd been wrong. In a country where it never seemed to stop raining, he'd still managed to kill the plants, not realising how much more water they still needed. He simply hadn't gone outside enough to notice, not until they were already dead. The magnificent city skyline seemed to be overshadowed by more and more new builds, almost by the day, no longer distracting from the squat pub across the street. A mecca for the pathetic sods who wasted their days at the betting shop down the street, it should have been demolished years ago. And yet, it was symbolic of a neighbourhood that was still clinging on to dinge with bitter fingertips, as were the charity shops and businesses that he'd never seen a single customer in. How had they remained open? Money laundering? For a short time, he...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?